Hey, look, Bruce Lee is one of the most iconic humans of all time. You know who Bruce Lee is, and if you don't know who Bruce Lee is, you've probably seen him in some form or fashion, whether it be in a video game rendition or a TV show or somebody's reenacting his movements in a movie or something like that. You can usually tell when somebody knocking somebody out with one punch and they go on, that sound was created by Bruce Lee. Now, this man, outside of that though, had a legendary mindset. And this is something that if we want to be like an iconic character, this is somebody we want to look at. So it's a much deeper reason why he's iconic, right? It's not just the yelling, it's not just the knocking people out in one punch, you know, his movies and stuff like that. It was this right here. His philosophy and the way he lived his life was by far exceedingly different from any other person living at that time. He was on something different, y'all. This man was super extra brilliant. His philosophy transcends time. Now, I'm gonna go over some of my favorite quotes, and that's gonna help you to kind of understand what his mindset was. The first quote that I really like is, true power isn't in the ability to break things. It's in the ability to bend without breaking. Now that's deep, okay? And here's why this is deep. We want to be powerful. We want to be strong. We want to be confident. We want to be bold, all of the above, right? But the more I study power, the more this first quote makes total sense. Sure, it's dudes that can force, that can push, that can manipulate their way through things, but that is not a true display of power. Even though to most people, that's what power look like. It really means you weak though, and you scared, and cats be doing that. And I know you know that. The real display of power is when things happen for you with minimal force. Now, you've done this, where you silently enter a room and then all of a sudden the entire energy change. You don't have to be loud, you ain't gotta talk a lot, you ain't gotta be the flashy dude, none of that stuff. This is actually when you are way more powerful. The other thing with that is when you can allow things to happen without having to draw any attention to it. Like when people underestimate you, right? Or take your kindness for weakness and you just brush it off like it's another Tuesday. That's power. You bend, you maneuver, you evade instead of actually having to make something known or make something apparent. You don't have to do that. You could just easily be off to the side and be like, yeah, it's whatever, it's fine. Bruce Lee displayed this, and the way that he displayed this, it was a time where he was supposed to go up this super strong fighter. Everybody thought it was about to be a match of them going at it, and they was like, yeah, this about to go down. Blow for blow. We want to see it. The strong dude before the match was breaking all this stuff, breaking boards, showing his power, blah, 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 right? But once him and Bruce started fighting, that's when the whole dynamic changed. Because what happened was he started coming at Bruce with the heavy swings, trying to hit him, and Bruce Lee just wasn't even there. He teleported on him. He just straight was out of the way. And that changed the whole idea, the whole dynamic of who was more powerful. Because if you can't hit me, you can have all the strength in the world. But if you can't hit me, what is all that strength for? That's why power is not just about strength. It's much deeper than that. The next quote I really like is, he said, absorb what is useful, discard what's not, and add your own unique. Now, with all the information we got and the rise of self-proclaimed goats and gurus and influencers, it's best to take what feels most useful to you, disregard what is not useful to you, and then add your own personal spin on it. That's what really helps to develop you as a person, because Bruce Lee's whole philosophy was for you to become the best you. He didn't want you to be like him. He wanted you to become the best you. And I share that philosophy. I totally agree, because everybody is super special and unique, and they have their own way of bringing life together in a very special, unique way. So once you add your own spin on it, and once you listen to somebody and you're trying to pick it apart, do your own research. Don't just accept something as the gold standard unless you also have experimented and experienced whatever it is. That's what Bruce used to do. He mostly studied Wing Chun, and that was most of his style. But one day, he had a major fight that changed the whole dynamic of his fighting style. And this changed his philosophy as well. So one day, he had a major fight that he had to do with a Kung Fu master. The Kung Fu master was supposed to be a one-on-one, and there's a lot of background behind this of why they had to fight and this, that, and the other. He was in San Francisco. If you read the book Be Like Water from Shannon Lee, his daughter, she explains in depth why this actually had to even go down. But when it went down, this is how it went down. Bruce Lee is like, okay, cool, let's do the one-on-one. So they do the one-on-one, but as they're doing the one-on-one, the fight completely does not go the way that he thinks it's gonna go. It is sloppy. Dude is running from him. He trying to hit him while he running. He felt uncontrolled. He didn't feel like it was set the way that they were setting everything up in these fights. You know, the traditional way of, you know, these styles and all of this. It didn't go like that at all. When it came down to a real fight to where somebody was probably gonna get really hurt, dude started running. The other guy started running. Like, hold on, this dude's crazy. And I'm sure Bruce Lee was like, no, you actually, you know, if this is gonna be a fight, we gonna really see either we gonna knock each other out or somebody is gonna submit. And dude was running. It was just super unorthodox, super sporadic. Bruce Lee ended up actually winning the fight. But at the end of the fight, he was like, that was not at all what I was expecting. And what he decided to do was he decided to learn from it. That's just a super extra great mindset to have, because if you are just happy you won and you like, yeah, I did what I needed to do, I showed them, blah, 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 and you don't learn from the experience, especially if it was something like that where it was a sloppy win, you got to pay attention to life. You got to try and get better each and every time. So even though he won, reason why we want to adopt Bruce Lee mindset is after he won, he sat there and thought like, yo, there has to be a better way to do this. And that's what we need to consider. There's always a better way to do something. You can keep refining the process over and over and over again. And that's what actually was the beginning of Jeet Kune Do. That's what made him start to develop that fighting style, because he was like, it's got to be a fighting style with no style. You got to be pretty much ready for anything. That's why he developed Jeet Kune Do. The last quote I really like is because it's about focus, okay? You gotta really be disciplined and focused if you wanna grow exponentially. Here's the quote. He said, I don't fear the man who practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who practiced one kick 10,000 times. Now you wanna think like, why? Because whoever practiced one kick 10,000 times is going to be deadly proficient at that kick. They are going to be super extra deadly at just one thing. And that's all they're gonna need is wait for an opening for that one kick and you're done, okay? You're cooked. So let's think about it math-wise though, right? This ain't perfect math. This is just to give you an idea of what type of growth we talking about. Let's say you do one thing for 10 years and you decide for every day you're gonna get 1% better. So if you do one thing 1% better, 365 days, that's 365% in a year. So if you multiply that over 10 years, you're looking at 3,650%. That's for one thing that you decide to go at. But let's say, no, I want to get good at 10 things. Well, if you look at it this way, 10 things at 1% for 365 days, you're gonna have to divide the 365 by 10. So if you divide the 365 by 10, you got 36.5. So really, you're only getting 36.5% better for 1 year. And when you multiply that, because that's over 10 things that's spread out, it's not hyper-focused. If you multiply that by 10 years, 36.5 times 10 years, that's only 365% better. So you actually only got 1 year worth of betterment out of 10 different things meshed together, as opposed to 3,000% better over one thing if you just dialed in. That really, I mean, obviously, like I said, it's not perfect math, but if you really think about that, 3,000 as opposed to 365. So if somebody come up to me with a move that's 3,000% better. And there's another guy that comes up to me that has 10 moves that's like 300% better. Who am I gonna be more scared of? You would think it would be the dude with 10 moves, but it's not, because those moves aren't gonna be as effective as that one that can literally just take you out. I could survive maybe a couple of those moves that were 300% better. I could probably be okay, but not against that one that's 3,000 times better. That one can take you out if you get hit one time. You'll have to be on your game. So if you think about it, that's the type of thinking that we want to adopt if we want to look into Bruce Lee mindset, man. That's why he was such an iconic character. That's why he was such a legendary mindset, philosopher, thought-provoking individual, is because he was thinking different, y'all. And that's why he one of the GOATs, man. Because that type of thinking will help you to really focus on what your purpose is and what you're supposed to be doing in this life. But yeah, that's my take on it. Let me know what you think. Do you appreciate Bruce Lee like I did, man? I still listen to some of his stuff. I read that book by Shannon Lee, his daughter. He was just a phenomenal character. His philosophy is very similar to mine before I even knew what his philosophy was. It was already very similar to mine. But if you agree with any of this, or even if you got something to say, just let me know. Let me know in the comments what you think about Bruce Lee. Make sure you like, subscribe, all of the above, so you can help us build. Let's get it.